doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. And okay. Konami has struggled mightily over the last decade or so, right? Giving us a whole bunch of crap. But see, back in the 80s and early 90s, Konami was one of the ones, right? And one of the things that they always had in their back pocket was a license to produce games based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that license gave them carte blanche to just make whatever. But they always picked wisely. Even with that very first Ninja Turtles game. I liked it. I don't care. Argue with your mom. But somewhere like towards the end, around 93, 94, they had an idea. Produce a fighting game based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. They made that game on NES, Super NES, and Genesis. All three games are very distinct, very different. They have very varied rosters. And they all play a little different. They all feel a little different. And today, because all I'm talking about this year are NES titles, obviously, I'm going to talk about the NES version of that game. It was released in 1994. And it was one of the last titles released on the NES. Today, we are going to take a quick look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighter for the NES. Alright, baby, let's get to brass tacks. This is a rarity on the NES in a whole bunch of different ways, right? So first of all, wasn't a lot of one-on-one fighting games in and of themselves on the NES. No a whole lot of one-on-one standalone fighting games. Of course, you had like one-on-one battle modes and like Double Dragon and stuff like that. But here, this is just a straight-up fighting game. Because it happened in 1993, 94, during the rise of the fighting game. Street Fighter, Fatal Fury, Mortal Kombat, stuff like that. And this game actually does a really good job of capturing that on the NES. You play, it's not a huge roster. In the story mode, you pick one of the turtles. You fight the other 3 turtles in a contest to see who's strong enough to go to accept Shredder's challenge. Then you fight a couple of other characters. Hothead, there was an action figure and he was a character in the comic books back then, and Casey Jones. Then you fight Shredder. Like I said, not a big roster, and that's okay. It's the NES. 7 characters in 1994. We let Mortal Kombat get by with 7 characters. Why we can't let Ninja Turtles get away with 7 characters? Well, this one, it works. Like I said, roster's not robust, but it controls well because Konami at the time rarely missed. Everything handles great. It's got your trademark Konami look and sound, especially their trademark sound. And yeah, this one's a winner. Now, about it being a rarity in a bunch of different ways, this one didn't move a whole lot of units on the NES at least. You can get a Super Nintendo or Genesis version kind of cheap. Genesis version about $20. Super Nintendo maybe like 25, 30, maybe 40. NES, we gonna get to it in a second, but it's nuts. But we got a real good fix for that just came out. It just hit the market. Watch this. if you decide you want to get a copy of Ninja Turtle Tournament Fighters on the NES, you got a couple of different ways you can pull that off, right? You get a repro card, about $30. You know, you can get an official card, which starts at $200. Or you could be a person of culture, and you can go to your nearest video game retailer and holler at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection that features every NES, Super NES, Genesis, Game Boy, and arcade Ninja Turtle release. So it's like 12 games, including this one, for $40. So for the price of a copy of Tournament Fighters for Super Nintendo, you get all of them. And that's a win and a half. So go do that. Go buy that. Go ahead and get Konami money for doing the right thing this time. I promise it's a good purchase. But yeah, this has been the 8-Bit Animal. Don't get in people $200 for a cartridge. And I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow. Hooray! Another way to play Arkanoid. Why do we need so many ways to play Arkanoid?